there enough police officers out on patrol? Their union says no.
Rattlesnake bites and sightings happening all over the county, including at the coast. What a snake expert advises if you encounter one.
And we're working for you and getting results. A plan to get rid of confusing bike lanes in Mira Mesa moves ahead.
Dirty bathrooms at Kellogg Park in La Jolla. People are frustrated. What's going on?
Local school teaching students all about conservation at a young age.
CBS 8 News, live at 6, starts now.
It was a wild and violent weekend in San Diego, and the Police Officers Association says many areas just didn't have enough police to deal with it. Good evening, and thank you for joining us. I'm Carlo Cicchetto.
And I'm Jesse Pagan, in for Marcella Lee. The association says officers are leaving to get more money in other cities. CBS 8's Steve Fiorina is digging deeper tonight to find out what's being done to attract and keep officers.
Crowds are coming back now as we move away from the COVID era. And with that, more police calls. Sometimes it gets overwhelming.
We had several critical incidents over the weekend, including shootings at Belmont Park, shootings and a melee in the gas lamp, and a hostage crisis situation at Tierra Santa.
Below minimum staffing, he said, in Eastern Division, which handles Tierra Santa.
Downtown was even more critical, 40% under minimum staffing for the night shift.
There was a shooting near 6th and F and a nearby unrelated bar fight that spilled into the street that night, leaving an officer hospitalized.
And while our officers performed highly, they were outnumbered. Downtown, they had to call for mutual aid for the Harbor Police and call in all available units from Southeastern Division. And that left other areas unstaffed, and one of my officers in the intensive care unit.
The sergeant says some 911 calls were unanswered Friday night, and many more were still on hold Saturday morning. He blames a workforce that's fallen woefully below what's needed in San Diego. Better pay elsewhere? Many cops are heading elsewhere.
We've lost over 180 officers in this fiscal year alone since July, and it's just not sustainable. We can't protect the city with this low number of officers on the street.
And crime seems rampant.
They're shooting at the beach. It's everywhere. The coasters where families are, you think it's safe, and there's been like multiple shootings that whole week. Spring break, it was crazy. Things are kooky right now for sure.
It's tragic, it's dangerous, and we have to turn the tide.
Police want higher pay and better benefits, asking for about 17% increase over the next 2 or 3 years. Mayor Todd Gloria won't make any promises, but is optimistic that negotiations will work out well.
We'll be providing raises to our police officers as well as to our firefighters, lifeguards, and other public safety professionals. That's not in question. We will do that the way that we've done for the last number of years, of providing regular increases because we recognize this is a difficult job. San Diego is an expensive place to live, and frankly, they've earned it.
Contract negotiations are underway, and we'll keep tabs for you. Steve Fiorina, CBS 8.
Thanks, Steve. Meantime, San Diego police are investigating a strange shooting of a man by Harbor Police. It happened yesterday afternoon just outside the Harbor Police Station. The 29-year-old man reportedly walked into the police station, asked for help, and then walked out to his car. That's when Harbor Police say he suddenly pulled a gun and pointed it at them, and they were forced to shoot. The man is in critical condition. Police have not released his name at this point.
Ocean Beach lifeguards found a second body washed ashore after a failed human smuggling attempt. San Diego fire rescue officials say they found the body in shallow water this morning at Dog Beach. Investigators think the man was aboard a fishing boat they think was carrying about 10 migrants. It capsized off the coast late Saturday night. The body of another man was found on the beach early Sunday. Officials took the survivors for treatment at UC San Diego Medical Center. We're working to find out if all the people on board are accounted for.
Southern California grocery workers are finally voting on a new 3-year contract with their employers.
The United Food and Commercial Workers Union came to a tentative agreement with grocers last week. Workers from Ralph's, Vaughn's, and Albertsons plan to strike if they didn't reach a deal as negotiations spanned for months. Union members say the result of the vote will come out Saturday. Meantime, contract negotiations between Palomar Health and its workers are heating up. Nurses and caregivers had a speak out today demanding Palomar bargain in good faith. Unions representing the workers say Palomar Health used threatening language. They also claim Palomar abused their authority by declaring an impasse when the unions had a proposal on the table. But Palomar denies all accusations and says the unions weren't replying to their request for more meetings.
We want to get this done. Our employees want to get it done. We're just tired of the games that are being played.
Both sides have been negotiating for almost a year now to address staffing shortages and patient care.
We're working for you, and some of you have sent us pictures of the restrooms at Kellogg Park near La Jolla Shores Beach with poor and unsanitary conditions.
CBS 8's Brian White has more on the frustrations of people there trying to find out and get you answers on why those restrooms are so dirty.
Dirty bathrooms here at Kellogg Park at La Jolla Shores have been an ongoing problem, and people around here are frustrated.
The bathroom stalls at this point are looking like a third world country.
We received these pictures over the weekend showing the public bathrooms at Kellogg Park at the south end of La Jolla Shores in complete disarray and unsanitary conditions.
No toilet paper, debris all over the floors, dirty toilets, broken changing tables. This is an ongoing problem.
Janie Emerson is president of the La Jolla Shores Association, and she says with bathrooms looking like this, tourism could be affected.
People aren't going to want to come and experience this kind of filth.
She points out that many families and children from all over the city frequent this park.
And then you have the playground right there, so that makes these comfort stations even more important.
It is unacceptable.
We reached out to District 1 City Council member for San Diego, Jolla, who's working to resolve this issue with the mayor's office and Parks and Recreation.
This is the time of year where spring break does bring more individuals, and so they may not have allocated the resources to pick up the extra activities that resulted in the problems that we see.
This was the scene last Friday at La Jolla Shores with beaches packed for the warm weather.
When there's activity, like when the colleges have activity or if it's a holiday or a spring break, I think there's just a lot of people that head down here and just, trash it up.
According to the city, the bathrooms here are only cleaned once a day right now due to staffing shortages within the Parks and Recreation Department. But normally they'd be cleaned twice a day, especially during spring break, and even 3 times a day during summertime. The city is finding it hard to fill these positions.
The city needs to take a look at their hiring practices. They need to look at incentives to get people to work to do these jobs. This may be a low-level job, but it impacts the entire economy of the city of San Diego.
In La Jolla, I'm Brian White for CBS 8.
If there's a story you'd like us to look into, email us at yourstories@cbs8.com.
Pacific Gas and Electric is paying $55 million to avoid criminal prosecution for starting 2 wildfires in Northern California. The deal also means state regulators will oversee PG&E for the next 5 years. The settlement centers around the Dixie Fire last year and the Kincaid Fire in 2019. PG&E is still facing criminal prosecution for the Zog Fire, which killed 4 people in Shasta County in 2020. Today, President Biden announced new regulations to address homemade weapons known as ghost guns.
The president also introduced his pick to lead the federal agency charged with enforcing gun laws and requirements. Deborah Alfarone has more from the White House.
From the Rose Garden at the White House, President Biden proposed new rules to regulate the manufacture and sale of ghost guns.
This is the gun. It's not hard to put together.
Ghost guns are homemade firearms that can be assembled using a 3D printer or with kits purchased online. They lack serial numbers, which makes it impossible for law enforcement to trace. The new proposed rules would require gun makers to include serial numbers, be federally licensed, run background checks, and keep purchase records as long as they are in business.
Because of these updates, law enforcement will have additional crime gun intelligence to stop gun violence.
At the announcement were gun violence victims' families and survivors like Mia Tretta. She survived a 2019 ghost gun shooting at her Santa Clarita, California high school, but she lost her best friend.
Nothing has relieved the pain in my heart like working to prevent more senseless shootings.
The new regulations are likely to face lawsuits from manufacturers and gun rights groups. Monday, the president also announced the nomination of Steve Dettelbach to the head of the Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, Firearms, and Explosives, or ATF. President Biden nominated the former Ohio U.S. attorney after he pulled his previous nominee due to bipartisan concerns from lawmakers.
I promise to support the men and the women of the ATF and to do everything in our power to protect the people of this nation every single day.
If confirmed, Dettelbach would become the first permanent ATF director in 7 years. Deborah Alfarone, CBS News, the White House.
And the White House continues to call on Congress to pass gun legislation. However, It's unlikely to happen in the equally divided U.S. Senate.